So I think to put it in perspective, remember that China's population is over a billion, so 4,000 plus cases out of a billion people is not all that many. I think what is problematic may be the dynamic zero COVID policy. And, Omicron has proven to be difficult for countries to deal with, even countries that had relatively good control with the other variants, such as South Korea. And, at a certain point, the government of South Korea made a decision, which I think was appropriate, that they couldn't keep up with tracking and tracing and isolating. So they put into place a mechanism for home care, for self-diagnosis, for treatment of those people who break through. But South Korea had an advantage that China does not have. Among the elderly, not over 95% of people were vaccinated fully, and a good proportion of them were boosted. In China, only 50% of the elderly have been fully vaccinated, and an even smaller proportion boosted. So as one gets ready to do and deal with COVID, the level of vaccination, I think, or natural infection, is going to need to be higher.
So, Dr. Kim, under the circumstances you've just outlined there, would you say that China's policy, the zero COVID policy, would not be the best way to deal with this?
So in the long run, it's going to be difficult to isolate a country as large and as important to the global economy as China. And I think that the Chinese government is trying to, as the Korean government did, prepare for the time when restrictions will need to be eased and people would need to be let in. And I think Hong Kong is dealing with that on a very active basis. They really had difficulty vaccinating the elderly, and we've seen the consequence in Hong Kong. So I think the Chinese government has seen that, and they, I believe, understand that this series of lockdowns where they put 30 million people in the country under lockdown is something that will ultimately prove disruptive and will at some point need to be changed. And at that point, they need to do much more vaccination, maybe with slightly different vaccines than were used originally.